Hi, everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're slamming the accelerator on electric vehicles, AI, and the companies racing through this electrifying landscape.
It's an interesting intersection, really. We're seeing these two big waves, EVs and AI, about to crash together, and the ripples are going to be huge, going way beyond just cars.
Okay, so give me the rundown. Our sources keep mentioning a symbiosis between EVs and AI. What's the takeaway for someone like me trying to grasp the bigger picture?
It's not just electric cars, right? It's the intelligence baked into the whole system. Think of it like this. Electric vehicles, they're already kind of like computers on wheels, but add in AI, and suddenly you're talking self-driving, smart energy management that gets the most out of charging and battery life, even AI robots building and shipping everything.
So, way more than just my morning commute is changing. We're talking industries from shipping and transportation to how we make energy, maybe even robotics. Is that right?
Absolutely. This is transforming multiple sectors. Imagine your commute is in a self-driving electric car, deliveries are done by autonomous electric trucks, even traffic lights are AI optimized for maximum efficiency. That's the kind of potential we're looking at.
And at the front of this electric pack, there's Tesla. A lot of folks see them as just a car company, but what we've been reading suggests there's more to it.
Tesla's valuation, it's a tricky one. Some analysts, they see a traditional car maker, focused only on sales figures. But others, they're factoring in the energy storage side, those Powerwall home batteries going up against giants like GE, not to mention their big investments in self-driving AI.
Speaking of valuations, our sources had some wildly different predictions about where Tesla's going.
Yeah, by 2030, you've got some saying Tesla will sell 4 million vehicles a year, others saying a massive 8 million. Just to put that in perspective, 4 million, that's already more than a lot of established car companies make in a year.
Wow, that's a huge difference. What's behind those totally different views?
It boils down to how much each analyst buys into Tesla's different moneymakers. Some are stuck on car sales, while others are including things like charging station revenue, software for those self-driving features, even what they might make from AI and robotics down the line.
So, depending on how much you believe in Tesla's long game, you get a totally different value. Almost like trying to put a price on the internet back in the 90s, right? The potential was there, but how big it would be, nobody really knew.
Exactly. That's the thing with valuing companies like Tesla. Their success isn't just about what they're selling now. It's about whether they can keep innovating and grab market share in areas that are still developing.
It's like trying to predict where a rocket's going to land. So many things could change. But Tesla's not the only player in this game. We're reading about companies like EVgo. They're focused on something less flashy, but just as important. Charging, all those stations EVs need.
Yeah, EVgo, maybe not a household name like Tesla, but their stock's been like rocketing lately, up over 80% in just a few days. It's a sign that people are starting to see how crucial they are in the whole EV world.
That's a massive jump. What's driving that kind of growth? What's going on?
It's a bunch of things coming together, really. First, they got a big loan from the Department of Energy. Then a major analyst gave them a thumbs up, upgraded their stock. And then there's this thing called a short squeeze. Kind of complicates things.
Okay, short squeeze. For those of us who don't live and breathe Wall Street, break that down for us. What is that?
So imagine someone, they borrow your car, right? Hoping to sell it, then buy it back cheaper later when you're not looking and give it back to you. That's kind of like short selling, but with stocks. But then say the price goes up instead of down. Those short sellers, they got to scramble to buy the stock back at that higher price so they can return what they borrowed. That buying frenzy. That's a short squeeze, and it can push the price way up.
So it's like betting against a horse that ends up winning. You end up paying out way more than you planned.
Exactly. And with EVgo, this short squeeze, sure, it's partly because of those outside factors we talked about, but it also shows that investors are starting to believe EVgo's in a prime spot as more and more people switch to EVs.
Which makes sense when you think about it. Electric cars are great, but they're useless without places to charge them. So what's EVgo's strategy? How are they handling all this competition in the charging world?
Analysts say what sets them apart is that EVgo, they own and run their charging stations. Other companies, they're partnering up, relying on someone else's network. But EVgo's building their own thing. That gives them more control as more EVs hit the road, which could mean more profits.
So kind of like Tesla, aiming to do it all themselves. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out long term. But we've been talking about EVs, charging. Can't forget the most important part, batteries. And that brings us to, well, lithium.
Lithium, it's like the heart of these EV batteries. And as electric vehicles get more popular, the demand for lithium skyrocketing. And Rio Tinto, this Huge mining company. They're making some big moves to corner the market, become the lithium king.
They're going all in on lithium, huh? We saw something about a multi-billion-dollar deal they made.
Oh yeah, huge deal. Rio Tinto, they bought this company, Arcadian Lithium, for, get this, $6.7 billion. That gives them lithium mines in Argentina and Australia, two of the biggest sources on the planet. But here's the really strategic part. Arcadian, they've got processing plants already set up all over, including the US and China, the biggest EV markets.
So they're not just getting the raw materials, they've got the whole chain figured out. Refining, shipping, the works. That's a powerful position to be in. But it seems like Rio Tinto's thinking bigger than just EVs with this move, right? They're also looking at those giant batteries used for the electric grid itself.
You got it. Think about it. As we rely more on things like solar and wind power, those energy sources, they're not always consistent. So you need these massive batteries to store energy, keep the grid stable. Remember those Tesla Powerwalls we talked about? It's basically the same idea, but on a way bigger scale. Rio Tinto's betting that batteries and all that lithium they need, they're going to be just as important for the future of energy as they are for electric cars.
So we're talking about like a whole new way of powering the world, right? Batteries and lithium as important as oil and gas have been for like ever. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is. And it makes you think about, okay, who controls these resources? What about those supply chains, making sure everything runs smoothly? And could this electric future lead to, geopolitical tension, countries fighting over this stuff?
Which makes me wonder, what does this all mean for regular people? Like someone listening who's interested in these trends, what's the takeaway for them?
Well, this shift to electric, the AI advancement, it could really change our everyday lives. Think about it. Electric cars get cheaper, more accessible. It could revolutionize how we get around, especially for folks who rely on their own vehicles. And self-driving, that could make roads safer, give more independence to people who can't drive themselves.
It is exciting to imagine the possibilities, but the stuff we've been reading, it also points out some bumps in the road, right? It's not all going to be smooth sailing to this electric future.
Yeah, for sure. The potential's huge, but challenges remain. Electric cars are getting cheaper, but they're still pricey for a lot of people. And then there's that range anxiety, people worried about running out of juice before they reach their destination. It's a real concern for some folks.
And what about getting enough lithium? We've talked about how much the demand's going up, but what if there's not enough to go around? Could that slow down this whole electric car boom?
Definitely something to consider. I mean, that $6.7 billion that Rio Tinto shelled out, that tells you how seriously these companies are taking the possibility of lithium shortages. As demand keeps going up, who knows? We could see prices all over the place, supply chains getting messed up, even countries getting into it, trying to control who gets what.
So kind of like the oil wars of the past, but with lithium at the center this time.
It's a real possibility. And then on top of that, you've got those global trade tensions, like we talked about it before, adds a whole other layer of complexity. We're already seeing countries arguing about subsidies for electric cars, tariffs, that kind of thing. That could really mess with supply chains and make it harder for the industry to grow. It's complicated, to say the least.
Sounds like it. So this electric revolution, it's about way more than just the tech itself, huh? It's about economics, global politics, using resources responsibly, even the environment. A lot to unpack there.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's why these conversations are so important, right? We need to understand all these different angles as we head into this new era. For all the challenges, shifting to electric, using AI, it comes with incredible opportunities. We're already seeing new jobs, new industries popping up, and this is just the start.
Exciting times. Uncertain, for sure, but exciting to be a part of these conversations.
I agree. We're at a crossroads, and the choices we make today, the tech we embrace, it's going to shape how we get around, how we power our world for generations to come.
Our sources left us with a big question, something for everyone to chew on as we move forward. If the need for lithium, for all these battery materials, if it keeps exploding like this, could we see a whole new kind of resource race? And what would that mean for the future of electric vehicles, for the future in general?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we've been saying, this isn't just about companies or new gadgets. It's much bigger than that. It's about global politics, managing what the Earth gives us, even how our whole society works.
Makes you realize the future is not just something that happens to us, right? It's something we're building. With every choice we make, every technology we embrace, every conversation we have about where we go from here.
Well said.
That wraps up our deep dive into the world of electric vehicles, AI, and what's next for how we get around. This journey is just beginning, and we'll be here to explore it every step of the way.
Until next time, Keep those engines charged and those minds engaged.